Yeah, Eric, you're a real life G
Eric.
for this one. Yeah.
We've been talking with Professor Gaye Theresa Johnson, and for those of you who don't know, she is married to the legendary Chuck D of Public Enemy. How are you doing today, Chuck?
Good. Getting adjusted. I'm good. I'm getting a piece of my head back.
I thought it'd be great to have the two of you on screen, just to kind of do an index of all the stuff that we've been watching over the last couple of months. And I'll start immediately with just watching the celebrations, if that's even the word that we want to use, marking the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. What were your general opinions either of the march that happened that Saturday or then the kind of presidential event that occurred that Wednesday? What do you think those events say about what's happening in Black America, but obviously Black America's relationship to this country?
Personally, I think we're just in a weird space, socially, with technology. It's just like it's a weird space where people are kind of coming to their own assessments based on their like-minded connections. And when you see these things play out in media such as television, like this march and the marches, you're wondering, like, it's really like a thin line between the dog and pony show.
Yeah.
and where we're at as a people. And I just think that these technologies have just connected so many different types of like-mindedness around the world. When it starts to talking about a certain incident in a particular country, I don't know where that stands. So I'm really kind of like doing more listening and watching from afar for the next maybe year, because we're in a really weird space right now. What's not.
It's funny because, folks sat there and watched their CNN feeds or their MSNBC feeds, and, everything gets framed a certain kind of way depending on what, network you were watching. But I keep going back to the Philip Agnew, 2-minute video from Dream Defenders, and how these young folks, even as they were told we can't be on stage, they knew how to use the technology in a way that cut outside of that. I mean, they didn't need to march. I mean, that's they did not need those 2 minutes on stage, in front of the Lincoln Memorial. They had a whole nother way in which they could reach those audiences.
Yeah, and you got all these things popping up. Like we did a concert, the Made in America concert, and I wanted to rip the clip off of YouTube and use it as our intro.
Agnew's speech.
Agnew's speech, yeah.
But YouTube came up with some kind of different technology which didn't allow what I was using to rip. So therefore, I tried to reach out to Philip to actually get it. So it's funny how all these technologies are moving. They're looking to protect their streams. They're looking to publish, keep their publishing to itself. And so therefore, I just want to be able to go and use my technological know-how for the second to go and adapt Agnew's speech. But it was there. But long story short, it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. It would have been nice, though, to be part of that. But they actually made a subject out of not being part of it that was kind of, riveting.
I mean, which is interesting, right? That it's kind of like so how social media is both for and makes it more challenging for the people to be the people. And so here you want to be able to use something like this, and yet it's mediated by something that doesn't allow you to do that.
And yet, ironically, if anybody wanted to watch your full set at Made in America, Chuck, all they have to do is go to YouTube. Hell, I posted it on my blog, right? Just for folks to be able to watch the full set. So it's interesting what kind of things get allowed and what kind of things don't.
Yeah, we're running into real distinct yet different oppositions now. Maybe somebody won't stop you from the feds, but somebody's going to stop you from a corporation that has dominance over everybody's minds and eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a weird space right now.
For a lot of folks, Chuck, when they found out that Public Enemy was performing at Made in America, it might have raised some eyebrows, because they're saying, why would Chuck D and Public Enemy be at quote unquote a Jay-Z festival? But in some ways, right, it makes perfect sense, because it's a venue that allows you to reach a larger audience. But talk a little bit about your process in that regard.
Well, last year I refused to play at a Made in America concert. And, I actually got, I got voted down this year. So I said, if I got voted down, we have to go into Made in America with a different type of agenda. What is it? What is it about? So I actually talked it over with my wife. I talked it over with the crew, and I just said, look, we're going to go in Made in America. It just can't be that. And Made in America is just an updated version of back in the day Budweiser Super Fest. They got Smokey Robinson and Zapp playing. And this is, so I had to go into that mindset. And I said, look, if we're going to go into Made in America, we're going to have to revise our position there. So we just immediately said, no. Philadelphia was the first city that embraced Public Enemy. So we're going to go in. This is made in Philadelphia.
Right.
And we're going to go in with a couple of agendas that are necessary to actually make it make sense for us, which I think artists should do. If you're going to play a concert, you should adapt the concert or what a setting, especially when playing with varied other artists, and adapt that setting to agendas that kind of fit you, as opposed to the venue or the I would say the collection of artists. I mean, we played many festivals around the world, and they might have beer, be the main sponsor. Doesn't matter to me when they're in that country. So, I mean, those conversations I had with Gaye early on, and that kind of made us have a clear picture on what we wanted to do with that. And what we did with that concert was rather light, and it came out heavy.
But one thing he's not talking about is some of the money that he earned, he put back into Philadelphia, and into grassroots organizations, and then also the very public ways in which he tried to maintain the focus on Mumia Abu-Jamal and Assad Shakur
in Philadelphia, right?
Philadelphia, because how can you be there and not say that? I mean, and this is the big critique that so many of us have of Jay-Z, and we could do this, in perpetuity. But how could you be in Philadelphia and not make this about Mumia Abu-Jamal? How could you? Right. So it was such a beautiful. I mean, it's such a. It's as if you have all of this privilege bestowed upon you on the backs of all of these people who struggled for some different kind of dream. Absolutely. And you dishonor it by not paying attention to the things that still are keeping people out in the most mean and cruel ways. And so here we have, I think, someone who's at the helm of a group that is still willing to take these chances, regardless of whether they get asked back or not, which they probably won't. But then the next week, Chuck received the Paul Robeson Award in Washington, D.C., and Mumia Abu-Jamal called him while he was on stage.
Yeah, right.
Just it's incredible. We had Brother Ali, who we respect very much, is a good friend of ours, here with us on Friday. And one of the things he was reminding me of was the way that, often as a conscious artist, he becomes very frustrated with the amount of reward that goes to people who really have the opposite sort of consciousness. And he's not talking about money or fame. He's really talking about the kind of resources that allow you to take care of your family. And he was telling me a really dynamic and incredible, beautiful story about how he had said this one day to his wife, and his wife, Tiffany Jones, who's an incredible person too, had said, but look at your walls. Look at the people on your walls. Yeah. Those are the people that you admire. So why do you expect anything different? And I feel like that's a story that'll always stay with me, because it's such a powerfully astute point. And I think this is the kind of thing that we have to remember. I mean, it's no offense to Jay-Z, but Mumia Abu-Jamal ain't calling him what he's doing.
Real talk.
Thank you for what he's doing in terms of the struggle that is still very much a part of who we are.
Chuck, we just had the chance to talk with Gaye Theresa about her amazing book, talking about Black and brown relations in Los Angeles. And I can go on about how much I learned and how much scholars, her peers, learned. What do you learn from Gaye Theresa?
What a great question.
She's trying to figure that out every day. Well, my wife pays really close attention to detail. And it allows me to really seriously look at detail with at a different level than I've done before. I've also learned that she has passion and commitment into what she speaks about, what she teaches, and we have passion in our particular, business professions, respectively. But her passions are really rooted into what she believes 100%. And I like to think the same way. So I learned from her, like, look, if you're going to be definitely about it, we have to figure out the detail that you have to kind of like give and try to be as clear as possible. I think I was clearer in the past. I was. I don't know if it's age, and I don't know if it's just ongoing snowball of confusion that's coming on, because it's like you keep up and you're seeing that that these oppositions kind of move around like chess pieces, and so I'm in a mode of listening more. That's another thing I learned from Gaye, is that sit back, and in order for you to learn some detail, you better sit back and just kind of listen and breathe the air and appreciate the real small, tiny things. I've always been that person, but to actually have a person actually remind me of it is very rare.
You're watching Left of Black. We've been joined by Professor Gaye Theresa Johnson, Professor of Black Studies at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and we've been joined also by her spouse, the legendary Chuck D of Public Enemy. I want to thank you two both for taking a little bit of time out for our Left of Black audience today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Eric, you're a real life G for this one. Yeah. All black everything. All black, all black in the name of all my black heroes. All black everything. All black polos. All black medallions, yeah. All black, say. All black everything. All black, all black in the name of all my